Hello, everyone. My name is Ali Orooji. I'm the faculty advisor for the UCF Programming Team. I work with the UCF Programming Team coaches to prepare our students for the various competition. The coaches have prepared these slides to give you an overview of the local contest and how to prepare for them. Most of the slides are very straightforward. You can read them at your own pace. I don't really need to explain them. But when you read them, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. The local contest, we do it in 2 rounds. The first round is online, so you can do it from home or wherever you are. And usually we leave round 1 open for several days. In case somebody is busy one day, they can do it another day. But please make sure you get on the system and solve some problems. And also the other reason for round 1, for round 2, we do it in person. So we request a lab, and the lab has a capacity, and we cannot exceed that capacity. So if there are more students in round 1 that we can fit in the lab we have for round 2, the coaches use the result of round 1 to determine who advances to second round. Second round is in person. It is an all-day event, so please plan accordingly. We need to request a classroom and a lab for round 2. And as soon as we know what the university can give us the classroom and lab, we can announce it. So please check the programming team website mid-August. It should have the date there. We meet at 10 o'clock for a quick introduction and orientation. Then we have a practice session, so you use the university system to get comfortable. And then we have a lunch break, and then we have the actual contest, and then we have the award ceremony. So again, it is an entire day. Now, the contest is 2 rounds, but you register only 1 time. You do not register 2 times. Early August, the local contest registration site will be open, and you go to this site and register. And shortly before round 1, you will get an email that says this is your login name, and this is your passport, and this is the site you go to get on the system. The largest competitive programming is International Collegiate Programming Contest, ICPC. It is 50 years old now, and it has grown very large. Originally, it was just a few universities in the US, but now it is a truly international event. They have more than 100 countries competing now. Our students have participated in this contest since 1982, and they have done extremely well. Our region is called Southeast, which is 5 states. Our students have always finished in top 3 in Southeast, and no other university has done that. And the reason we have this great record, number 1, of course, it is talented students, and also they are committed to devote the time and effort that it takes to excel, and then they do well. But the second reason we do well is we have several volunteer coaches. Some of the coaches are faculty at UCF. Some of the coaches are former team members who work in the Orlando area, and they are giving back to the team by training and teaching the new team members. So we appreciate what they do. Again, this is all volunteer work. Round 1 is online, so you don't get to see the coaches in person. But in round 2, you will meet all the coaches. We have Kyle, Glenn, Aru, Chris, Tyler. Again, you will meet them in a final round 2. The way the contest works, they give you a bunch of problems, say 10 problems, and you can work on them in any order. In our local contest, to help the newcomers, the coaches put the problems in order of difficulty, but in a typical contest, they put the problems in random order, and you have to find the easier one to do first. But you can work on problems in any order. And you get a fixed amount of time. Like our final round will be 5 hours. The round 1, we do it several days, so everybody would have a chance to solve some problems. But typical contest is like 2 to 6 hours. And the person that solves the most wins the contest. But when there are several students, there is a good chance several students finish the same number of problems. And they have a tiebreaker, a penalty system to break the tie. You have one file for each problem. So you create the file for a given problem and edit it as you are debugging, and you test your program. If the problem specification is not clear, you can ask questions and the judges will respond. And once you have solution for a problem, you submit it for judges to test it, and you have one file per problem. So the solution for one problem is only one file, not more than one file. And this contest is a test of problem-solving skills. It's not really a user interface contest. So you make things very simple and just read from a terminal and output to terminal. And for your programs, do not put any prompts, type the next input, type the next input. The judges don't keep typing input. So do not put any prompt. And again, you read from keyboard and you output to screen. As far as the reference material, the round 1 is online, so you can use whatever you want, searching things and using your books and notes and your program, so you can use whatever you want. Round 2 is in lab, it is in person, so you do not search online. We do provide reference material in the submission system that you will see in a few minutes. So you will have reference material for the languages, but you do not search online material in the final round. Each contest has a few languages, and you are limited to those languages. ICPC currently allows C, C++, Java, and Python. So you have 4 choices, and you don't have to use one language for all problems. You may decide to do one problem in Python, one problem in C++. It's really your choice. Now, this is an individual contest, so you don't really ask your friends for help. If you have questions, you ask the coaches or contest officials. And again, repeating what I said earlier, the round 1 is online, so you can use whatever you have, whatever you want, and search the web and so forth. But the final round 2, is in person. You don't search internet. And the coaches usually take extra time to select team members. For the contest problems, you will see the submission system in a few minutes. If there are ambiguities in contest problems, you use the submission system to ask questions. But for technical questions, like your login name doesn't work or your password doesn't work, here is how you can contact the coaches for help for technical problems. The way the scoring works in this contest, the first criteria is number of problems solved. If one student solves 8 problems and everybody else solves 7 or fewer problems, 8 problems wins. But if there are more than one student solving the same number of problems, there is a tiebreaker, and they use a penalty point system. The first thing about the penalty points, you are not penalized for a problem until you solve it. Of course, if you attempt a problem and you do want to finish it, it's okay to take the penalty points because the number one criteria is number of problems solved. But you are not penalized for a problem until you solve it. And when you solve a problem, you get 1 penalty points for each minute from the beginning of the contest. For each problem, it is calculated from beginning of the contest. So if you finish the first problem after 30 minutes, you get 30 penalty points for that problem. And if you solve the next problem 1 hour after the first one, and that is really, the second problem is really 1.5 hours from the beginning of the contest. So you get 90 points for that second problem. So you have 30 points for one problem, 90 points for another problem. So that's a total of 120 points. And also for the problems you do finish, you are penalized for extra submissions. So if you submit a problem, say 4 times and finally get it, you have 3 extra submissions. You get 20 points for each incorrect attempt. So that is 3 times 20 and 60 penalty points. Now, for round 1, you are using your own system at home or wherever you are. So you just use whatever you have there. But remember, there are 4 languages to choose from: C, C++, Java, Python. Final round, or round 2, will be in the university lab. And university updates their systems each summer. So we need to wait until fall semester starts to see what is available. But during round 2, we will give you a handout so you know exactly what is available, in the lab for round 2. Some general comments for C, C++. Make sure you put return 0 at the end of your program. For Java, please do not use packages. I mentioned earlier, this is a test of problem-solving skills. It's not a large system development where you need several packages and all that. And for Python, it is Python 3, not Python 2. I mentioned earlier, you get a bunch of problems, let's say 10 problems. You can work on them in any order. Again, for local contests to help newcomers, the coaches put the problems in order of difficulty, so you know which one is easier. But in a typical contest, you don't know that. You have to find that. And also, if you work on a problem and you don't get it right, you don't have to finish it before you go to the next one. You can go to next one and then come back to the first one. And the problem specification, it tells you what you're supposed to do, the problem you're trying to solve. And then also there is sample input output to help you understand the problem better. And when you are generating output, make sure you follow the output specification. If it tells you printed in this format, you need to follow that format. Here is a sample problem. Each problem has a name, like this one is called the odd even. So if you are writing solution for this problem, let's say you are writing solution in Java, your file will be oddeven.java. Let's say there is another problem in the contest called graph, and you decide to do that one in C++. Then that would be graph.cpp. And you have 1 file per problem. So if you solve 4 problems, you have 4 files. And to make it easier for the judges to judge your submission, please use a lowercase for your class name. Again, input is from standard in, and output is to screen. You should test your solutions before you give it to the judges. Some of the problems may have a kind of long sample input. The submission system, you'll see in a minute, it provides the sample input and sample output, so you don't have to type them. You can just use them. And also, you need to test your program on other cases, not just the sample input. The problem specification tells you what the input is, and within that specification, and the coaches prepare very comprehensive data. So make sure you test for special cases and everything. Now, the judge data, you don't see it during the contest, but we will provide it at the end of the contest in case you attempted the problem and you didn't get it right. You will see the judge data and you see what you miss. But again, the judge data follows the problem specification. You do not need to put extra if statement. And to make it easier to judge, to go up and down in your output, the judges redirect your output. This is the submission system. You will see it in round 1 and round 2. And the coaches have prepared, the coaches have developed this system. It is very user-friendly and very easy to use. A few days before round 1, you will get an email saying this is your login name and this is your password. Of course, you have to register for the contest to get the account. So, and then you will get the URL. You go to that URL and log in with your login name and password. Here are things that you can do. The status shows you, like if you submitted a problem, it shows you the status of that. View problems. This is electronic version of the problems. For round 1, you read it. For round 2, you have the electronic version on the system, but we also give you a hard copy for round 2. Sample data is so that you don't have to type sample data yourself. When you have a solution, you use submit the solution to submit your solution. If there are ambiguities with the problem, you can ask clarification, and then the judges will respond. The score, you will see it in the next slide. Language reference, again, for round 2, you're not supposed to search internet. So the submission system provides the reference material. Here is a sample score from our high school contest that the programming team members and coaches organized. The score shows each team and each problem, and it shows who had solved what problem, how long it took them, and how many times they tried it before they got it correct. The red block means they have attempted it, but they haven't got it correct yet. Light green means that they got it correct. Dark green means this person solved this problem before anybody else. It's a very good source of information. When you finish a problem, you can look at this, see which problems are solved the most, so you may want to do those next. Now, during the contest, the last hour of contest, we freeze this score. What that means is that when you submit a solution, you will get a response back, so you know you got it correct or didn't get it correct, so you know you are done with it or you need to work more on it. But the score sheet will not reflect that. So you know it, but others don't know it. That leaves some excitement for the award ceremony. When you submit a solution, of course, your program must compile, and of course, it should execute, not crash. It should provide the correct output. You need to follow the format, like if the problem says capitalize a word, you need to capitalize it. If it says print double spacing, you need to print double spacing. And your program must also to generate complete output. Let's say output is supposed to be 10 lines, and you print only the first 5 lines, and those 5 lines are correct, but you are missing the rest. So you are not done yet. When you submit, you're going to get one of these responses back. Correct is, of course, what you want. Compile time error doesn't really happen because you compile at your station before submitting. But sometimes the students submit outdated file by accident and they get compile time error. Runtime error is like a division by 0 out of one array reference. Time limit, for most problems, the straightforward solution works, but sometimes the students have infinite loops, so we have to stop the program and say time limit exceeded. Or typically in each contest, they put 1 or 2 problems that you have to come up with a more efficient algorithm. But again, the majority of the problem, the straightforward solution works. Wrong answer, if the answer is supposed to be 10 and you print 8, that is wrong. Incorrect format, again, you need to follow the format that's specified in the problem. Again, like if it asks you to capitalize a word, you need to capitalize the word. The contest strategy, we have fall semester and a spring semester for the coaches to work with you to teach you different algorithms and different data structures and different team strategies. So we have like 9 months to train you. So we can't really teach you everything in 5 minutes. But the coaches have prepared a couple of slides just to hit the main points. This contest, each problem is worth 1 problem. It doesn't really matter if it's the easiest or the hardest. So you want to do, of course, the easier one. And try to keep it simple. That is really the best way to solve a problem. When you keep it simple, you don't make mistake. And if you do make mistake, you see it very quickly. And look at the entire set. There may be a problem that is easier for you than it is for others. And read the problem carefully. If you read it too fast, you may miss a point, and that is a major twist that makes the problem much harder than you think. And make sure you test your program. Be careful when you start using debugger. People tend to lose track of time, and before you know, the contest is over. And it is really worth taking extra time to make sure your approach and your solution works before you start typing. If you rush into typing, you may miss a point and you spend more time at finishing it. So the extra investment in front, it really pays off at the end. And don't be afraid to take a short break. You don't really have to use computer every single minute. Sometimes a short break makes your brain function better. And work at your own pace. And that is really the most effective way. You have the most throughput when you work at your own pace. In a local contest, the coaches put several problems, so everybody would find something to do. We don't really expect a single person finish all the problems. And there are people that who've been on the team before, so they have experience, but we do not select one team members. We have varsity team members and junior varsity team members, and usually have several teams, so we have like 20 to 30 team members. And so we don't select only one team member. If you don't make it to varsity, you have a good shot at making it to junior varsity. After the final round, the coaches usually have experience in selecting the varsity team members. But junior varsity, since the students are new, the coaches don't really know them very well yet. So the coaches usually invite a few extra people for the first couple practices. So the coaches would get to know the students a little better to make better decisions with junior varsity team members. And also those couple of extra practices for new students, it gives you a chance to see what is this all about and what is expected. So it really helps the coaches to select the right people. It also helps you to see if this is what you want. Of course, we hope this is what you want. And again, we have several varsity teams and several junior varsity teams. We usually have 20 to 30 team members. Now, next bullet is important. Everybody is welcome to our practices. If you do not make it to the team and you would like to come to our practices, wait until the final round is done and we put on the team website who is on the team. If you did not make it, send us an email and we will add you to our email list. So anytime we send an email, we are meeting this day, time, location to practice, you will get those, and we hope you can join us for some of them. Of course, the more you practice, the better you get. This is the typical practice schedule. At 11 o'clock, we have 2 parallel lectures, one for varsity covering advanced algorithms, one lecture for varsity, one lecture for JV and guest, covering the fundamentals. Then we have a lunch break, and then we have 2 parallel contests. One contest for varsity, with the more difficult problems. One contest for JV and guest with more fundamental problems. And we usually wrap up by 6. All right. The coaches and I hope we see you in a local contest, and we look forward to having you on the team and going to regional competition, North America Championship, and World Finals with you. Good luck.